Welcome to the chat. I think I'm going to call it that. We'll see. Name's not important. Anyway, my name's Rob, and I'm just basically going to talk about sports most weeks, every week. Give you my basic sort of, rundown of how I see sports going on in the weekend, and just talk about it every week. To be honest with you, just see what comes to mind. I'm always going to be watching sport on the weekend, so I might as well give people a little summary of what I watched. Episode 001. This is like ground zero. We're going to start from here. We're going to try and do it weekly. We're going to try and, expand and, add bits and talk about all the different sports. This isn't just a football thing. This isn't just limited sport. I think that's what I'd really like to do and get lots of different types of sports in there. So, straight into it. This weekend. Big weekend. I mean, every weekend, I feel like every weekend's big for me, to be honest with you. I mean, there's always something going on in one of the sports that I watch. Players Championship in golf was very entertaining. Golf's a weird one because I'm always sitting there watching it, and because it goes on for so long, you kind of have it on in the background almost, and you kind of see players as they go throughout the tournament. And then by the time it gets to Sunday and it's serious and every shot matters, that's when you start paying attention a little bit more. So Justin Thomas won. Like he is one of absolute. When his best golf is on, like it was certainly on Sunday, when he's playing his best stuff, he is one of the top three in the world, along with Dustin Johnson, Rory McIlroy, Jon Rahm. He really is, and he makes it look really easy. Some of the shots he played, like the shot on 18, his tee shot, he makes some shots, to be fair. He's very good to watch, technically very good. Won by a shot over Britain's Lee Westwood, so close. He said himself, Lee Westwood, after the tournament, he said he was tired. I mean, I think he's 40, 47, 48. He's had a long career. He said his legs under him weren't solid. He was getting tired down the stretch. But he still made a big putt to come second, to outdo Bryson, who many people might have heard of. Bryson DeChambeau, American, big dude, put on loads of weight over the winter, literally over the winter time. He was back. He was always, fairly lean. Then all of a sudden, after lockdown, he came back. He's put on, I don't know what the exact number is, something stupid like 30 pounds. And he's going for speed. He's trying to overpower golf courses, but he's also a good player. So he's not just, long drive champions. They hit the ball really far, but they're not seen to be good golfers, brackets. He's kind of trying to fuse both worlds together almost, which is entertaining. It's definitely entertaining because he's destroyed some golf courses and really made it look easy. And he's kind of like the new lightning rod for everyone. Everyone wants to kind of see what he's doing, criticize what he's doing, obviously. But it was kind of built as Sunday, the last day of the tournament. Everyone was sort of building up between Bryson and Lee Westwood. They were the two leaders because they had been number 1 and 2 last week. And Bryson won that tournament, but Lee Westwood came second to him again. So the very next week at the prestigious Players Championship, they're back at it again in the final group, and Justin Thomas decides, now I'm gonna have a career day, and he ends up stealing it at the end. JT, he's had a tough, well, everyone's had a tough year, but he's had a tough time of it more recently. Some self-inflicted, he was on camera. Because there's no crowds, or limited crowds, the mics pick up everything. And he was caught using a homophobic term on camera after missing a putt, which is a bad look. Lost the sponsors, lost a lot of support. So he had to kind of battle his way back from that. Lost his granddad, who was a big part of his golf career, because the family's very big and they're big into sports, and they kind of all support each other and stuff. And that was big for him. And then obviously, Tiger Woods, good friend of his, car crash. So he's kind of had a few bits where it's been another knock, and another knock, and he's been sort of off form a little bit. So he's come back. Obviously, he got quite emotional in the post-round interview. So he's kind of battled back from quite a lot of stuff. So, it's good for him. He is a nice guy, to be fair. Like, he's not, there's people who, aren't seen to be nice guys, who do something wrong and they're like left out to dry. And he should be criticized. For my personal opinion, he should be criticised, of course. But, he's making steps. He has been pretty good post after what he said. He's kind of recovered quite well from it. So hopefully gets his head down and keeps on treading the straight and narrow, so to speak. But yeah, so that was a fun weekend of golf. We're kind of heading towards the Masters, which is going to be probably Bryson. Bryson's looking like he wants to come in and tear that one apart as well. So lots coming up. I mean, that'll be, a couple episodes down the line. Hopefully we'll get into the Masters. But yeah, that was the Players' Championship. The second big sporting event of the weekend, big for some, big for me anyway, is the Formula One, new Formula One season. We're in testing, which is like pre-season, obviously. And for the heads, the ones who are like, really, really into Formula One, they'll keep an eye on it, see how the cars go. Because a lot of the cars have kind of changed. They haven't changed that much from last year to this. So normally there's lots of regulation changes and they have to change the car a lot. But this year they've limited it because next year being 2022, there's a big shake-up. So loads of rules are being changed. Development's going to change. The cars are going to look very different. So I think with that in mind, and with COVID, they said this year, all right, let's just keep it more or less the same. The only big change is they're taking the downforce away from the cars, because the cars last year, when they had it at Silverstone, where 3 cars, their tyres blew up, including Hamilton, who was leading the race. He managed to hang on and win the race in the end, but his tyre blew up with a lap to go. His teammate Bottas's tyre blew up the lap before that. And I think everyone's kind of worked out that the cars are getting too fast, too much downforce, and the tyres are just like, they're not built for that much speed, that much downforce, that much energy. So the FIA have decided to take 10% off, to kind of shape the floor in a different way, so the aero works differently around the car, and so you don't need to get, the tyres don't need to get better and better. Like, just take downforce off the car, so you don't have to keep making new tyres, harder tyres. So that's kind of the gist of what they've managed to do, and it's kind of worked. I mean, everyone's kind of come with it's kind of a copy and paste to a degree. The cars they don't look, well, some of the liveries are different, but they don't look too different, and they aren't that much different inside, which has kind of led to the teams who were good last year, who kind of finished the year well, have started this year off flying. So the top 2 are definitely Red Bull and McLaren. Red Bull, who were probably the best team for half the last season, because Mercedes got out so far in front. And they probably, they started working on this year's car and next year's car. So they kind of like, almost started cruising halfway. And Red Bull kept pushing, McLaren kept pushing, and now McLaren have got a new engine supplier. So they're taking Mercedes' engine. So the best engine for the last 7 years is now going in the McLaren car, who've kind of had a dip, because they were obviously a big team they've always been a big team, 80s, 90s. And then they've had a real dip, a bit of kind of a Liverpool if you like, as far as what McLaren are. Now they're coming back, and now they're looking solid. So definitely at the minute we're talking Red Bull, we're talking McLaren. Mercedes are always going to be there. You know, it's like they're always going to be there because they're that big a team. They're that big a team. They've got so much resources. They've got so much experience, and they've got the best driver in Lewis Hamilton. So they're not going to be far off, but they're not like, you know, that you haven't come into the season thinking, yeah, Mercedes is going to. Yeah, if there is an advert, it's this. Like Mercedes, it's not going to be a. Well, I say that. Don't hold me to that, because we could end up showing up in 2 weeks' time and Mercedes have decided, actually, we're just having a laugh in testing and this is what we're really like, which happens a lot. It's called sandbagging, which, I mean, almost quite literally, not literally with sand, but they have fuel in the car. So all the fuel they add, you can have a car perfectly developed. All you got to do is put an extra 20 kilos of fuel in and it'll be a second lap slower. And suddenly on the lap times, you see Mercedes all in the middle, you think. But if you take the fuel out, that's the thing about testing. You can kind of look at it and say, you know, okay, Red Bull have the fastest time, Mercedes are down there, but then you don't know how much fuel, they don't tell you how much fuel is in the car. Whereas obviously in qualifying for a race, it's how quick can this car get around that track. So pinch of salt, more than a pinch actually, full on handful of salt with testing, but so basically is Mercedes aren't obviously going to run away with it, which is good, because I think I talked to a lot of people at Formula One, and they're generally speaking, it's kind of like, it seems to be like a one horse race or one team race. So I think it's not going to be that this year. I don't think. I think this year it's going to be interesting. If there was a time to be watching Formula One, it could well be this year, because, you know, Hamilton's going for the record of world championships. So he's there with Michael Schumacher now on 7. So in terms of, you know, the greatest all time debates could be over this year. Depends on who you are, obviously. I think that's still, the GOAT debates in sports in general are tough. Depends on what era you grew up in and who you saw and all of that. But yeah, he's going for that. Could be. He should get it. You know, on paper, he would still be the favourite to win it. There's Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes. But I think it could. I hope. I mean, I'm up for an interesting season. I'd rather it be fun, you know. But yeah, I guess we'll see. Final piece of business, if it's business at all. Doesn't feel like business. Football, Premier League, obviously every week. North London derby was cagey at the beginning. You know, Tottenham were very defensive, Arsenal were playing pretty well, and then Tottenham grab a goal. I mean, look it up. Eric Lamela, Rabona goal. It's one of the best goals. The goal of the season for sure this year, like no doubt. Goal might be the best goal of the last couple of years. It was just outrageous. Then fast forward to the second half, he gets himself sent off, and Tottenham lose the game. So Arsenal, you know, fair play. North London is red and all that. Yeah, I mean, it's always the North London derby is always. It does seem to be, for me, it does seem to be the last derby. Apart from the Merseyside derby, there's not many. You know, a lot of the derbies lose their edge as players move on. It becomes more international, and coaches move on, and teams get better or worse. But I feel like North London derby is always, no matter who's playing, they always hate each other, which is good. It's good for me because I've got something to watch, and it's another game that you can really get stuck into. But yeah, that was pretty entertaining. So yeah, I mean, it's just going to be, so this whole, it's just, it depends on what I'm watching in the week, because I'm into quite a few different bits. I'll try and keep it diverse, because that's what I like. You know, you'll get various sports that I'm into. Obviously, if there's something big going on, probably touch on it, but it's mainly going to be what's happened, what I'm into, you know, it's not so much. Don't worry about too much about, you know, coming here for some sensationalist news and, you know, some rundown of exactly who won and how. It's going to be more like what I reckon on something. So, episode 001 in the books.